We are in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape, where a provincial overview and a visit from various departments, such as the Department of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs in the province and the Office of the Auditor General is here as well. This is a post, audit symposium, in terms of the outcomes that the Eastern Cape, actually various municipalities in the Eastern Cape have had, over the years. We understand that over the past 3 consecutive years, audit outcomes were not that good for the Eastern Cape. But in discussion with me, I've got the MEC of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs, Tata Uxolile. Tata, thank you very much for joining us today. We've just heard the provincial overview from the representative from the Auditor General's office. What is your response, to some of the things that he has pointed out, especially in terms of irregular expenditure in some municipalities in the province?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Once more, the outcomes are indicative of the state of finances and the total disregard how public resources are being handled by some. And it's good that we have added 2 other, clean audits from Sengu, Elundini, now Jokabi, and Matukizela Mandela municipality has added to clean audit, which is not good enough. And therefore this symposium is quite critical, because it is the first one where all role players, AG, CFOs, and other sector departments, and our partners in the private sector, we gather in this fashion. And it's going to give us quite a good framework in terms of how do we improve the handling of public financial resources, because this hinges heavily on the public trust, and that is why we must accelerate 2 things. One being the strengthening of internal controls, accountability mechanisms. The other one is to ensure that there are consequences for wrongdoing, because there is representative findings and other things are indicative that there's not been consequences. We must accelerate that. And I'm glad that there is a growing commitment towards that direction. But that is not without context. It's being contested because those who are benefiting in the rot and the collapse of accountability mechanisms are not happy when we strengthen accountability, are not happy when we ensure that there is adherence to rule of law and due processes. I'm really looking forward to the outcomes and quite encouraged with the spirit of cooperation that exists among role players.
Another thing you spoke about during your keynote address, MEC, was the issue of, I would put it as irregular appointments, whereby people do not have the capabilities to do certain jobs. And now this also affects, the numbers that we've heard of over 122 million being spent across the board, in terms of appointing consultants. So how do we navigate through this, MEC, to ensure that we've got competent officials within those departments?
Well, our legal team within COGTA is investigating. We're trying to see if, as COGTA, we cannot challenge an appointment that has been made legally and make an application for it to be set aside. If we are of the view that the candidate appointed has a track record of non-performance over a period of time, and therefore that can constitute basis that we make an application for that appointment to be reviewed and set aside. But that is not the starting point. The starting point is to ensure that we cooperate, ensure that COGTA is involved in the appointment of municipal managers, ensure that provincial treasurer is involved in the appointment of CFOs in municipalities. And what concerns me now is a new development where some municipalities are flatly refusing for COGTA to participate and SALGA to participate. In 2 instances, the interview collapsed because they did not want COGTA and SALGA to participate. And for me, no person with genuine intentions can refuse support in order you appoint the best. That kind of an attitude for me can really be motivated by ill intentions, cannot be informed by good intentions. It quite clearly, it's something that we're gonna confront because it must be stopped. It's not the right way to renew our country.
Thank you very much for your time, MEC.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That was MEC Xolile Nqatha of the Department of Corporate Affairs and Traditional Affairs in the Eastern Cape, just briefly outlining, his response, to some of the outcomes and the provincial overview from the representative from the Auditor General's Office of South Africa. But from us here in Gqeberha, it's back to you in studio.